Hello folks, this is Lindsay Huddleston with Sports Psychology Solutions. Here on more of a somber note today as I talk to you. Excited to help, excited to promote positivity, but sad. Got news of another childhood friend who lost their life. And it seems like it has something to do with the status of their mental health that led to that. And I'm sad about that, but also encouraged because I know over the past few months and weeks in particular, I've really been focused on talking more about mental health just as I talk about mental toughness. We talk about mental toughness in sports and life and how you could stay locked in, stay focused, and stay disciplined to succeed and reach your goals. But there's also a discussion we need to continue to start having about mental health, particularly in the African-American community and communities of color. To my white brothers and sisters who may be watching this, if the hair raises up on your back when I say this, I'm sorry, but we are seeing a spike, an alarming number of African Americans committing suicide, which traditionally had not been something that we took part in compared to other races. You can have a discussion about it, you can dislike it, but it's the truth. And the reason why I feel I have to speak to that as a man of color, as an African American, I have to be mindful of things that are happening in my community. If you stand side by side with me as my brother and my sister, whether you're black, white, brown, green, I think you should understand and not take offense. And this is the last time I should have to make any type of apologetic statement regarding me trying to speak to my community as it relates to what can help our young people and mature people be able to manage. We're doing a lot of research as it relates to mental health, and with my background in sports psychology consulting, my graduate work in psychology, I have a lot of resources I have access to. But the one word I want to start with is anxiety. Anxiety seems to have an impact on so many people. And I think anxiety can easily be overlooked as just something that just happens with everybody. But I just want to talk about the different forms of it. The Anxiety and Depression Association of America, ADAA, has some excellent resources. And one thing I want to talk more about is where are the resources at? What resources can you reach out to? In my view, a lot of these resources may be right there in plain sight, but we are conditioned not to want to have these discussions about mental health. Because when you talk about mental health and the status of how you feel, people look at that as a sign of weakness. Well, I want to help change the narrative that discussing mental health is really a sign of strength. If you can be together with your girlfriends, your boyfriends, your teammates, your coworkers, and every now and then have a mental health moment. That's right, a mental health moment, where you can put aside what the discussion is, put away the judgment that comes with everyday life, and be able to talk about how people are feeling. And also to be in a space to be able to talk about it where you don't have to worry about someone running back, telling your business for the sake of telling your business, as opposed to helping and supporting you. I know that's tough. I'm around young people on a regular basis, and there's a level of toxicity that I've never seen before. And a lot has to do with social media. I almost want to say, how can you live in a world that has social media, whether you're very active on it or not, and not be ready to have a discussion about mental health? The research shows that social media leads to so much anxiety because it proliferates us with these images of untruths. What do I mean by that? It's great to take a selfie. It's great to take a picture. But when you can concoct an image or promote images that lead one to believe that one thing is true when it's really not, that can have a huge impact on things and lead to this social upheaval, because now you have people believing that they're not where they need to be in life based on these false images that they're seeing. Now, I'm a big proponent of social media. This is after I went through my own personal experiences and challenges to be able to get the right perspective. I like to show you my events that I attend. I like to show you the things that I'm doing to inspire, to promote, not to make anyone feel down or feel less than. And I think you would have to know me or be familiar with me to know my intent. I think that's obvious with the work that SPS does. But the other side of it is, when we're going through our Instagram, our Snapchat, our Twitter, our Facebook, and we're looking at things, and we're seeing these images compounding, and we're saying, look, wow, that's a nice car. That's a great vacation. That's a great dinner they went to. And then we look at ourselves and we say we can't do it. Hey, I'll be honest. One night I'm at Carrabba's with my daughter, having a great meal, enjoying myself, and the next night it just might be pizza. And I've come to understand that, meaning that there's ups and downs, highs and lows in life, but we really want to be in a position where we don't allow those things to take over us from a mental health standpoint. What I want to do is talk about a few different terms in the time that I have with you today. Just generally speaking. These may be terms that you're familiar with, but I think it's great to have a place that if you choose to watch this video link or pass it on, it can be something that can be thought-provoking, that can help someone. Let's define anxiety. You have general anxiety, and then you have what we call some anxiety disorders. Extreme anxiety comes from worrying. When you think that you can't control what's happening in your life, you have this feeling of restfulness, this feeling of being fatigued all the time. You have irritability and sleep disturbances. And the key is the symptoms are so severe, they interfere with your personal and professional life. That's a pretty broad statement, but I think it's really helpful to think about, are these things impacting your personal and professional life? Are they stopping you from being successful at work? Are they stopping you from having successful, positive relationships with people you probably should be having positive relationships with? That's something to look at. The general anxiety disorder, also known as GAD. Then there's social anxiety disorder. That's when you're just uncomfortable with things like speaking in front of people and being able to go about your daily life that's going to involve other people around who are potentially watching you and looking at you. And it has to be something that's done to the effect where it stops you being able to function. Now, I know there's different levels of it, but I think the more we talk about these things, the more we become familiar with it, the better off we're going to be. Also, do you experience any ongoing stress and experiences that have to deal with some childhood trauma? You know, growing up as a young African-American male and becoming more familiar with my community, even not as an African-American, just in general, people suppress things from their childhood. There may be things that took place when you were a child or you experienced or were exposed to that you suppressed in your brain, that your parents, loved ones have helped you suppress, or just not talking about it has suppressed it. However, that still can be a trigger to childhood trauma. Most people as adults live their life, and the principles they live their life about are based around things they experienced in childhood. I've heard people say they don't like certain foods because when they were poor, that's all they had to eat, so they don't want to eat that. That may be one example, there may be others, but what happened in your childhood that could be a traumatic impact on what's happening in your life now? And then what are those triggers that impact your mental health? Work an extremely stressful job. I think many of us can say that the work we do can be considered stressful. I know with the work that I do, the places that I'm at, and the people I come in contact with, it's easy to look at that as being stressful. Whether you're a coach, heck, whether you're just a parent, life can be stressful. But also you want to be able to look at how do you manage that stress and also being able to see what other contributing factors add to that stress. Other stresses can be the influence of a death, a serious illness, or financial stress. As you look at this video, we're nearing the holiday season. Thanksgiving has just passed. Christmas is right upon us. Buy, spend, spend, spend. And you talk about doing that along with whatever your other budgetary needs are, that can be a huge challenge. So all these things are contributing factors. But also too, and maybe we'll stop on this point, the reality is that anxiety can be emotionally contagious. That's right, anxiety can be emotionally contagious. I've said it before, I'll say it again. If you're around someone who has a high level of anxiety, that anxiety can rub off on you. So you have to be very mindful of that. I know that's easier said than done, especially if this emotionally contagious person can be your partner, can be a family member, a loved one, a coworker, a boss, a coach. But the reality is that if you can recognize that anxiety can be emotionally contagious, I think you can better equip yourself. I want to leave on this note because I want to make this video brief enough that you can watch it, but also substantive enough that you can take something from it. And I promise you, as I go on with my work with SPS and talking about mental toughness in sports and life, I will continue to bring information about mental health because that's an important thing. I'm very fortunate to be what I would consider in a positive mental health state after all the different life experience I've had in a very recent future, in a very recent time. And I understand how important it is to have positive mental health, to have positive people in your life you can engage and have the discussion with. And I only hope that your friends, your girlfriends, your boyfriends, your homeboys, your homegirls, whoever it is you roll with, whoever you spend time with, there can be time for you to have a mental health moment. This is Lindsay Huddleston with SPS. Thank you for tuning in. Talk to you soon.